It's really comfortable. Speed bump, woo! That's what it's built for. Love a speed bump. Very simple, but you can just stand up so easily. Okay, hello YouTube. Welcome to a review of the 2021 Honda Africa Twin Adventure Sports. We're just leaving Chiswick Honda in London. Thank you very much to Chiswick Honda for lending me this brilliant seeming, although we will soon find out how good it is, motorbike. What we're going to do, we're going to go for a ride. I'm going to try and work out where the indicators are. There they are, that's good. Good start, Redang. We're going to go for a ride, get out of London to review this, because this is your adventure style motorcycle, you know. It's not for in town or in cities. To really get a good feel for this, you want to be out in the country, getting the most out of the motorbike. So just quickly, we'll go for a quick ride. I'll get a feel for the bike, stop somewhere nice, and we'll get into more details of what I think of the bike, more specifications, you know, brake horsepower, suspension, and all of that. But first, let's go for a ride and get just a general feel for it. So we've got the DCT version, this Adventure Sports, which I have ridden a DCT. I've ridden the Honda Rebel 1100, and that was a great bike. I find the DCT very impressive. I do find a lack of involvement though, which is a big thing for me in motorbikes. I love the involvement, and not changing gear is something I personally do miss. However, Honda's DCT system is very, very good, and if you haven't tried it, it is well worth a try, however skeptical you may be. So we're just going to jump onto the M4, bang it out of London, and then give it a proper review. Just as we're riding out here, my immediate view or thoughts on the bike, serious immediate thoughts of jumping straight on it. It's a really comfy riding position, obviously with the 21-inch wheel on the front and the large suspension travel. It's a very comfortable ride. I mean, really easy to ride as well. I immediately feel at home on it. Just a quick full disclosure for anyone that hasn't been to my channel before. I did actually used to own not the first Africa Twin, but when they updated it in 2016, or it may have been 15, I owned a 2016 model Africa Twin, manual version. I had that bike for about a year. We'll get into that, how I got on with it in a little bit. Off of the motorway into the country a bit more. What I can tell you about that motorway ride? Well, at first, it reminded me of my old 2016 Africa Twin, which, to be honest, I had it for a year, but I didn't get on with it that well. I had the manual version, which I was really pleased with. It had a quick shifter, which was super fast, super efficient quick shifter. It just didn't have the right feel for me. I think that maybe the 21-inch front wheel, there's a lack of feel. But with this 2021 model, they've upped the power of the engine, so it's 1100cc. It's not well, I think it's actually 1083, but rounded up to 1100. The 2016 was 1000, so there's a little bit more horsepower and torque on this engine, which does give it a bit more meat to it, which feels nice. Now on the motorway, I'm just going to come out with it straight away. It's a really, really comfortable, smooth, efficient thing. Yeah, just cruising out there, I mean, straight up to 70 miles an hour easily, no problem at all, and it just keeps on pulling. Yeah, it was straight up there and just sat there, 70 miles an hour, cruising, no problem at all. So smooth when you're up there. I mean, with the DCT, it puts it straight into the 6th gear, the highest gear obviously, so you've got the smoothest ride. Really efficient. I would almost say smoother than a triple, if that's even possible. It was just like a magic carpet ride. It's really good. So thumbs up for the motorway. Now we're on some twisties. Ah, some Roman ruins. Lovely. On some twisties, let's see what she's like in the country. Yeah, I mean, I've got it in drive. There's so many buttons here, we'll go through them in a bit, but there's too many to cover it all in one video. So I have it in drive and I have it in tour. You can put it into sport, but it's really cold today and quite damp, so I'm not going to, just out of being nice and safety. It's not got like immediate pull, it's not a quick involving bike. It doesn't get my juices flowing, if that makes sense, if I can describe it like that. It doesn't get you buzzing like whoa wee excited about it. Wee! It doesn't do that for me. Now if we put it in sport, I think it probably will a bit more, because it will hold on to those gears longer for higher revs and it gives you more vibrations and it's just more exciting. But it's not built for that, this type of bike. It's a very comfortable, basically long touring bike, which if you so desire is extremely capable off-road, so the Honda website says. I took mine off-road once for about 100 metres and got a flat tyre. Literally, it's on Salisbury Plains, went off like, oh, I've got to take my Africa Twin off-road. I'd had it for 6 months, took it off-road up a dirt track, and just a tiny little needle, like pine needle or something from a bush, went in it and just flat tyred, done. Had to call the AA, never went off-road again and never have since. So that's my story of the Africa Twin. Okay, so let's go and try and find somewhere nice to pull over and have a look, a bit more detail, and chat over what I think of the bike and the specs of it. Alright, so I've found a sort of relatively scenic spot, shall we say, that suits the Africa Twin here. I've gone a tiny little bit of off-road, just a little bit muddy, that's as far as we can get. Haven't got too long with the bike. So it's just a brief overview of the bike. Yeah, so the power figures, 2021 Honda Africa Twin. It's up to 101 brake horsepower with this 1100cc engine, and it's 104 Newton meters of torque, which is plenty of power. It really is fast enough top end. With the 2016 model Africa Twin, I thought top end was a little bit restricted, but this new 1100 seems to have just loosened it up and allowed the engine to breathe a bit more. And at those higher speeds, it's very comfortable and feels like plenty of power. Yeah, so on the power situation, it's plenty of power, but what does it feel like? Well, it's torquey, 104 Newton meters of torque. It's got a lot of torque, so you could just roll on the throttle and it sort of, you know, that sort of cruiser style. It lollops along. It's not snappy, it's not mega quick, it's not mega responsive, but it's something about it that's really satisfying. I don't know how to describe it. It's like it's a lolloper. Let's call it that. It's a lolloper, which is really nice. It just crunches up the miles, lollops along very comfortably, roll onto the throttle and goes. It's really good at that, I would say. Long distances, comfort, and doing it very efficiently. Okay, so if we move on to the weight of the bike, next up, it's 226 kilograms wet. So that's with fuel, oil, all its liquids, 226 kilograms. Which in this adventure, that's quite a heavy bike, but in this adventure category and the way these adventure bikes are now, big capacity bikes, they're all around that mark, to be honest, and this is not one of the heaviest. When riding it, it's not a problem at all. I know you hear that a lot, but it genuinely not a problem. It rides really nicely. You don't feel the weight. We'll come onto it in a bit. More that you do feel with the handling when riding it is the suspension and the travel in the suspension. In combination with the 21-inch front wheel, personally I think gives you a little bit of a vague feeling on that front tyre. The weight of it is not bad compared to its competitors. It's in the middle of the range, so not a problem. So on the weight side of things, if I just do a demonstration, I used to move mine around a lot in a small driveway. Moving it around, because it is tall, you do have to be careful and use the right technique. It's doable, but it is a little bit fiddly. I'll just do a little bit now. Best way to do it, I find, one hand you come over to the left side of the bike, one hand on the handlebars, one on the grab rail at the back, and then you lean it towards you a bit and you can just shuffle back and forth. And then if we go forwards, yeah, So it is doable moving it. It is a heavy bike and it is tall, but you can move it if you get the right technique. I'm not big. You can move it around okay. Just sort my barnet out. Wild hair these days. Coming on to the seat height, it ranges from 850 to 870 on the standard seat. Now you can get a low option that, bear with me, get my trusty notes out, I can't remember all of the figures. You can get a low option seat to 825mm, so that's 25mm lower than the standard low seat, a bit complicated. And you can get a high seat option, which is very high. For the taller ones of you, this would be incredibly useful. It's 895mm, so you can go tall. I've got it, I'm 5'9", so you know for references, I've got it set at the lower standard option at 850mm, and I'll show you now where my toes are. It's perfectly comfortable for me, completely doable, not a problem at all. You can see that, I hope. I can flat foot it on this 850mm lower seat height, so that is really not a problem, and I'd say that's a big bonus of the bike. It feels like at 5'9", it feels like I'm sitting, you know, in the bike, which I personally really like the feel of. So you've got more of a feel of control over the motorbike rather than sitting on top of it. Okay guys, another benefit of this is obviously it's heavily biased towards off-road. If I pop it into drive with the DCT, very simple, but you can just stand up so easily, which obviously when you're off-roading is a really brilliant benefit, and when you're off-roading you should really be standing up most of the time. So that is a benefit, and also actually even if you don't off-road too much, it's really comfortable. Speed bump, woo! That's what it's built for. Love a speed bump. I love it. You just go off-road through the puddles, not a problem on the old Africa. Get back to the serious review. The standing up point is if you're on a big road journey, you know, on tour, putting some miles and some time in the saddle in, just to be able to stand up, just changing that position, stretch your legs, stretch your back out, it's a really nice benefit. So that's a good benefit of the Honda Africa Twin. Okay guys, so please excuse me if this is a bit of feels like a slightly rushed review. I only have the bike for a certain amount of time, and I ought to get it back to Honda Chiswick before they think I've run off with it. But yeah, if we get into a bit more about the looks, which are always subjective, but basically what sold me, so this is a real life scenario, an experience, what sold me on my Africa Twin was the looks. Mainly, I think they look so cool, like that off-roady adventure style. I love the paintworks they come out with them. They're actually updating them in 2022, so keep an eye out for that. Just great paintwork, great looks, really, really cool looking bike, I personally think. But obviously that's down to personal opinion. So suspension wise, we just get into the smaller details like that. It's Showa suspension, front and rear. Yeah, it's the same as the Triumph Tiger 900 Rally Pro, which I test rode the other day, which, yeah, can't say enough good things about. Really, honestly, that's a really nice bike. I really enjoyed that. But yeah, this is very similar. I believe it. Tell you what, I'm not going to say it because I might get it wrong. I believe it's, I'll put the figures up on the screen now of the suspension travel and diameter of suspension. It's very, very similar to the Tiger 900 Rally Pro. If I'm being honest, for me personally, it's brilliant suspension and very comfortable, but it's a little bit too much travel in it. Now you can tighten it up, the rebound etc., to make it a bit stiffer and a bit of a more road biased ride, but even so, I personally, if I was going to have a bike, an adventure bike, I'd hate saying this on Honda, this is a fantastic bike, but I wouldn't buy a Honda Africa Twin again, just because of the whole package and the way it's set up. That's not to say it's a bad motorbike, I feel like I'm hating on it now, I'm not. It's just what I would personally go for. But the suspension for off-roading and comfort is very, very good. So what can I say about the DCT, the dual clutch transmission on the bike? As I was saying earlier, I've ridden the Honda Rebel 1100. It was very good. It's a really good transmission for, like I was saying earlier, like the engine and the power. And I think personally, the whole vibe of the bike, it's just so comfortable and cruisy. It's like a big lolloper. You just lollop along on it. If that makes any much sense at all. It's really comfortable. It's big, the suspension's soft, the engine's really torquey and very smooth. Yeah, just the whole package mixed with the DCT makes it even more comfortable and smooth. It's like riding a big scooter. I'm just cruising along here, not worrying about a thing, just rolling on the throttle. I'm actually quite enjoying this now. God, I'm terrible like that. The longer I ride a bike, the more I get to love it. But yeah, it's a really nice concept, this. If you're in the market for a big, comfortable adventure motorbike, then definitely look at the Honda Africa Twin Adventure Sport model. It's really good. And it's a big boy bike as well. Don't think because it's 1100 and it's lower on power than the GS and the KTM and Ducatis. This is a sensible bike, this, and it's very well put together. So yeah, I recommend getting a test ride in if you get the chance. Anyway, this has been Red Ang Revival. I hope you've enjoyed that review. If you like the review, guys, and you like the video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That'll be fantastic. And if you haven't yet, please do check out my Patreon page, because all of this filming and YouTubing, it turns out does cost a little bit of money, GoPros and stuff, but yeah, genuinely I would really appreciate any small amount or any support given to the channel would be fantastic. We have an aim to a bigger goal than just reviewing motorbikes. It's to hopefully raise awareness for mental health and the benefits motorbiking has for mental health as well. So if you like that, any support would be very much appreciated. But thank you very much. All the best. Till next time, it's been Red Ang Revival. Ciao Bella! Oh dear, that's not good. A little bit of a rear end at the roundabout here. That's what slowed us down. Whoa, that's a proper little bump.